My dear brothers and sisters, the prophet Amos was an unwilling prophet. He was not one of the professional prophets. He didn't learn like Elisha from Elijah. No, he was a farmer. He tended the sycamore tree. But God called him and told him to leave everything to go and prophesy for his people. And this he did. And his message was not a popular message. It was a message that challenged the people's way of life. These people were mainly very religious, but their religiosity did not touch their moral life. Because what they did, as the prophet noticed, when will the new moon be over? When will the religious feast be over? So that we appear to be very religious, celebrate all our feasts, and then we go back to the old way of life where the rich acquire all the wealth and they could sell the poor for the price of a pair of shoes. I have noticed something very positive about Sweden, and that is about honesty in their trade. You go to any Swedish shop and you want to buy something, and you ask the question, is there a place I can get this something cheaper? They will tell you yes, if the answer is yes. Where is the place? They will give you the address of the place. It has happened to me many times. One of the times was when I wanted to buy a mobile phone. I saw the ones costing 11,000, 12,000. I didn't look at them twice. I went for a good one, affordable one. But I asked the young man, is there a place I can get something better at the same price? He said, we don't have what you're looking for here. But if you go to the other shop, I think he said Power, go there and you can get it. And I went there and I got it. That's what you can get probably only in Sweden. In other countries, you ask people, is this the best available? They will tell you yes. Not only in this town, but in the whole country, this is where you get the best and the cheapest. We have the best, we only. This honesty I see here is a product of internalized gospel. The gospel that says, thou shalt not steal. And following the teaching of Prophet Amos, that you must practice honesty in trade. However, when we move from interpersonal relationships or internal trade and we go to the international scene, the story changes. There are rich nations, the so-called rich nations, who take what is found in the poor countries, some of which we are called their colonial countries. The arrogance of saying we are colonial masters, and we go to another country and they become our servants in their own land. And then we are entitled to take the minerals found God has given them. I give you one example. There is a country that is a neighboring country to Nigeria to the north called Niger Republic, Niger. In Niger, you have uranium in abundance. But for many years, France, the former colonial masters, has been taking this almost free of charge. And you see that in France, they use it for their nuclear power stations to generate, among other things, electricity. So you go to France, you go to Paris, it's beautiful. Electricity 24 hours every day. But you go to Niger Republic, they have no possibility of electricity, and they have uranium. That is what the prophet Amos is talking about. That is called injustice. The imbalance in trade. In case you think I am the originator of what I'm saying, I recommend for you to read John Paul II encyclical, which he published in 1987. It's called Solicitudo Rei Socialis. In this document, the Pope is decrying the imbalance in trade between the so-called rich nations and the impoverished nations. For instance, Britain sent fighter jets and bombs to kill Biafran people just because they want to take care of the oil found in the land of Biafra. Here in Sweden, it is well known, people called Biafran babies, and the Sweden collected money and sent to these babies to survive. I was one of those babies. And until now, Britain is still doing everything to frustrate the emergence of Biafra and to punish Biafra people because of the oil in their country. This is what the prophet is talking about and is unjust. If you are doubting what I'm saying, read Sollicitudo Rei Socialis. Here the Pope is telling us that proclaiming the gospel is not limited to just talking about love one another. It includes, and necessarily so, the proclamation of justice. For we cannot live happily in the comfort of our rooms when our actions are causing people the worst kind of discomfort and war and misery. And when people are suffering in their own poor countries and they want to seek refuge in Europe and America, they are sent back and called all kinds of negative names. But it is the same people who are taking their resources, who have made their own countries uninhabitable. What would the prophet Amos say when he looks at what is happening in the world today? What the so-called Christian countries are doing to poor nations? What would the prophet say? That is what the Pope has already written. And I encourage all of you to meditate on these matters before the Lord. Open your heart and let the Holy Spirit speak to you and tell you whether what is happening is okay or not.